Another L on the board tonight. The Montreal Canadiens lose to the Los Angeles Kings in Deneau's return to Montreal 3-2 in overtime. That puts Montreal's record to 3-10-1 on the season. Good enough for last place in the Atlantic Division behind Ottawa, even behind the Detroit Red Wings, who I just want to quickly shout out as one of the most improved teams in this Atlantic Division. Like the way they're playing, like the way they're building their squad. But that being said, guys, thank you again for joining me for another reaction video. Gonna keep this one mellow, and you know what? For this point on throughout this season, we all know where we're at. Gonna try and switch it up for the type of content I bring you. Not gonna be here for every win or every loss in terms of reaction videos. Do my best to be here and provide good discussion, but I'm gonna also try and switch things up. I got some plans. I'm going to keep you guessing on the type of stuff I'm going to put out here. So maybe some Olympics content, keep the buzzed up and baked going. Also the reaction videos, but bring in some guests as well for conversations. Got some stuff lined up. So hope you guys are looking forward to that, and enjoy the video tonight. Here we are. Another night, another loss, another former Montreal Canadiens player. This time a key piece returns to Montreal and has a much better night than his former team. Phil Deneau returns, gets the ovation, plays a good game, and before I get into, Montreal actually put in a good effort tonight. They gave us a reason to watch, midway through that second period, starting to get really physical and tangled up. Pizzetta getting involved with Brandon Lemieux, Gallagher and him then bantering back and forth on the bench. Some big hits on both sides, which was good to see. And then the big comeback, Jake Evans, an absolute snipe after the dangles inside and out on the LA Kings defender and rips it past Cal Peterson, who played a very strong game. Finally a game where, you don't seem just devastated after witnessing it. We didn't get blown out. The guys put in a good effort. Had a ton of chances. Peterson just played a real strong game. And, that 3-on-3 overtime, it was weird seeing 3-on-3. We've seen a lot of Habs games and not any 3-on-3, considering how long the playoff run was. And then we haven't seen OT yet this season. And the Habs played it really well. It was refreshing to see how they took their time. They had patience. They were poised with the puck. They broke in. They got their looks. And it was Kempe with the really nice play to end it. But before that, Nick Suzuki got absolutely train wrecked at the blue line by Dustin Brown trying to enter the zone. Whew! I think he's still trying to collect his soul, because that was one of the biggest hits I've seen in the NHL in a while. And hopefully Nick's okay, because the last thing this Habs team needs is yet another guy to go down injured. But that was a big one. He went right to the bench afterwards, and then it's Kempe who skates it around the zone, uses his edges and deception and shiftiness and agility to get past Jake Evans, the guy who tied it up for the Habs and had the big comeback goal. And it's just unfortunate how it plays out for the Habs. Typically, again, how this season is going, just not our way whatsoever. But like I said, good to see the guys put in a good effort. And Jake Allen, been up and down lately, but, for the most part, a good game from him. And he lets in the goal on Brandon Lemieux that, after the Habs have the lead, the tying goal to make it 1-1. And it's easy to blame Jake Allen there, but that was a nasty shot. Perfectly placed. Very good accuracy from Brandon Lemieux. God, I wish the Habs could have been able to snag him up at some point. He's a guy who should be in a Montreal Canadiens jersey. I love the way he plays. And yeah, it's a shame. And he looks good. He looks good in LA. Just a pest out there. And when Pizzetta was trying to challenge him, he walked away from it. And then, that just pisses you off as the opposition, having to deal with that type of crap. And then Gallagher's into it with him. Because Romanov also checked him pretty good, and he didn't seem to like that. A nice clean body check from a young kid. And Romanov's looking good lately too, for the most part here and there. It's nice to see them giving him some chances to move the puck up the ice. But yeah, interesting. Very interesting game, and just unfortunate it didn't play out our way. Now, let's just quickly go. There's a lot of things going on for the Habs right now. Injury-wise, Cedric Paquette tried to return to the game. ended up having to leave. Jonathan Drouin still dealing with lingering issues from that shot he took in Detroit. Christian Dvorak isn't 100%. Brendan Gallagher isn't 100%. Joel Edmondson had a setback in his return, so he's, I think, 1 to 2, maybe even 3 weeks out. And then Carey Price. He has returned to the Montreal Canadiens, which is great to see. Maybe that was the boost that this team needed, because they definitely looked a bit different out there on the ice tonight. And Carey Price was with them today. He reunited with his teammates. You got to love that. And you know what? Carey comes out with a statement today as well, saying that he had entered the NHL assistance program due to substance use and mental health issues. And I'm not going to sit here and speculate, but what I will say is I got to commend Carey for what he's accomplished despite all that the last few years. I mean, the cup run, I know he's had some ups and downs through the regular season, but he has battled. He's, the pressure he's under, the leader he's been, the type of man he is. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot on a person, and I just have to commend him for having the courage to come out, and especially on the big stage like this, and confront his issues and seek help, and all for the right reasons, for his family first. So you got to commend it. And there's no really real reason for him to come out and tell us and say this, but again, it just shows his bravery and his willingness to be a role model in this situation. He's a legendary Hall of Fame goaltender, gold medal Olympian, World Junior Champion, Calder Cup winning goalie. So for him to, and just the impact he's had on so many people's lives, and for him to come out and do that, it's very commendable. So glad to see him back with the team, and he deserves all the time he needs to get himself back into game shape and mentally, physically strong. So not worried about it, especially where this team is at in the season. I think it's just going to be great to have Carey the person around this team, so they can, despite what happens this year, this is still the Montreal Canadiens moving forward. A little bump in the road. They're going to figure this out. And there's core pieces on this roster that are going to be here for a long time, including Carey, including a lot of these young kids, and even some guys that are locked up to some term here. So, yeah, just good to see him back. Now, there's been some kind of unique stuff going on with Cole Caulfield lately and social media. And I don't like to play into this type of crap, but I think this society honestly has a social media problem and a phone problem, if I'm being honest, but that's another conversation to be had. But I've seen posts on Reddit of Cole Caulfield responding to some trolls and DMs, people sending him just idiots, complete morons that are wasting their time just being douches on the internet, quite frankly, and sending DMs to hockey players. Like, come on. But found it interesting to see Cole responding to that. And then there's also the Utica Comet stuff where they essentially targeted him. This is an official professional hockey team's Twitter page, and they targeted a specific player on the opposition's roster to talk shit. Like, if you want to make fun of a team and crack jokes about a team, fine. But, like, to single out a kid, and I don't know, it's just unprofessional. And they did that on their Twitter page, and the AHL had an issue with it. They got warned, but Cole Caulfield's dad comes out and acknowledges it and voices his displeasure, which I get it. I'm sure that's how he feels, but I'm not so sure that helps the situation for Cole at all. Is that going to be used as fuel against him now? I think honestly the big thing is, I really hope that someone in the Montreal Canadiens organization and franchise advises this kid to stop looking at social media DMs from randos and trolls on Twitter. Don't engage in it publicly or whatnot. And honestly, just don't let it bother you, and don't give the people the attention that they're looking for when they send this ridiculous crap, because that's just going to fuel it and make these imbeciles think in their own heads that it's worth wasting their time sending messages to, stand-up people who are actually accomplishing things in life. Anyway, yeah, just kind of a unique situation. And Montreal is such a big market. You don't want to see a prospect of that, magnitude with that much pressure on them face that type of adversity when it's so undeserved and unnecessary. But yeah, that's all I got to say on that. Something else the Habs have kind of been under fire, and someone specifically in the organization has been under fire about is the drafting and Trevor Timmins, his inability to find elite talent in the first round of drafts, or even in just in the draft in general. Now there is 2-3 years worth of recent draft picks that the jury's still out, but and there is some promising players in that group. I mean, I don't have to list them off right now. You can check out my prospect video, but there are some guys on the cusp. But that being said, in general, the track record is not good for drafting and developing in this organization, and it's something this franchise needs to take a serious look at, because I think they're last currently in drafted players playing for them, on top of just not having elite talent out of the draft. It's not good, because you look around the league and so many teams have piled up elite talent in the first round. And whether it's teams that have rebuilt for a couple years or teams that have just lucked into high picks, so many teams. Like, even just think of Boston. They found Charlie McAvoy in the draft. They got David Pastrnak in the draft in the last decade. That's 2 right off the bat from that team. I mean, a number 1 defenseman and one of the best snipers in the NHL. They get Jake DeBrusk, who's been a sound piece in their top 9. And looking at other teams, I mean, they're hitting on their high picks. Toronto, Nylander, Marner, they both pan out as elite NHL talent, offensive NHL talent. The Islanders with Barzal, Wahlstrom now looking good. The Detroit Red Wings, Mo Seider, Lucas Raymond. I mean, you can go on and on, but every single NHL team essentially. Look, Ottawa, another one. I mean, just that list is huge. Every NHL team is finding talent that is either already looking elite or pretty primed to be that. So, and I know that's elite is overused. I shouldn't say that, but when I think generally what I'm saying is top 6 forwards, top 4, and top pair D. And the Habs just can't seem to find it. And that is going to bite us in the ass hard if that is not addressed. And fingers crossed, the last big, portion of prospects that we've drafted, hopefully we land on a good 3 to 4 of them. You have to. The sheer quantity of picks we've made, if you find a way to mess that up, does that ever just identify and showcase the main problem with the franchise if all these guys don't work out? Now, they're looking good so far, but they're not in the NHL yet. So, the disdain for Trevor Timmins right now, I have to say, is warranted. I mean, he's been in the position for 16, 17 years now? I think it's time, and I honestly, at this point, and what we've witnessed so far this season, I'm not going to be surprised to see a complete overhaul in management to start next season, especially considering Marc Bergevin's contract status. I don't know how you could ever justify an extension. Even myself, as a supporter of Bergevin's management style, I could not justify him getting another contract with how this team is playing this year and how this offseason has just been a complete disaster. So I suspect he'll find a job very quickly elsewhere, but I do think it's that time to move away and overhaul not just the management, but the whole scouting department, because it is so crucial to be hitting on your picks. Coaching, that's up in the air to me. He's just got an extension. I think you know my feelings on that. You kind of have to stick with them. But management and scouting, it's time. Anyway, guys, it was good to see the team play, decently tonight, especially considering all the injuries that are hampering them right now. It's just good to see them, put the effort in, get some chances, play an exciting game, play with some energy. I definitely think Pizzetta brings a lot to the lineup in that regard. And just to see them, forechecking hard, getting involved physically, it was a nice change, And if we're gonna sit through a really difficult season here, please at least show us that you're building towards something, because then it feels like, as a fan, a diehard, especially that's gonna watch these games, you know, it makes our effort and time put into this team feel worth it. Not that that is the be-all and end-all and really matters a whole lot, but it's just good to see your team building towards something and you know, playing at least somewhat good hockey. Cheers, guys. Let me know if I missed anything, and if I'm wrong, or you disagree or agree or whatever. Get in on that discussion down in the comments. Thanks again for checking out my content. I appreciate y'all, and hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying it. Cheers, guys. Go Habs, go.